Let's see about beta oxidation proper that takes place inside the mitochondria. Before that, let us see how a molecule of fatty acid is converted to fatty acyl-CoA, which is the active form that can be metabolized. So this is the reaction, fatty acid reacting with ATP and CoA, giving rise to fatty acyl-CoA plus 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate. So a molecule of fatty acid is reacting with ATP here. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme fatty acyl-CoA synthetase, giving rise to an intermediate called fatty acyl adenylate. So this fatty acid is taking one of this phosphate group with the adenosine. So this pyrophosphate is released and immediately hydrolyzed into 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate. To this intermediate, a molecule of CoAsh is added, and this is released out as adenosine monophosphate, and this O is replaced by the S-CoA, giving rise to fatty acyl-CoA. Now here a thioester bond is formed. So this bond is formed when a carboxylic acid is reacting with a sulfhydryl group SH, leading to the formation of a thioester bond. So here is the active form that goes into the beta oxidation. Let's take the example of a simple saturated fatty acid with even number of carbon atoms. So here we are seeing how a molecule of palmitoyl-CoA with 16 carbon atoms is going to undergo beta oxidation. This has been named as such because the oxidation is going to take place in the beta carbon. So this will be the alpha carbon and the second carbon will be the beta carbon, and this is where the oxidation is going to take place. So the beta oxidation has 4 main steps. First is a dehydrogenation reaction where hydrogen molecules are removed, followed by a hydration where a water molecule is added. Third step is again a dehydrogenation reaction, and fourth is going to be a thiolysis. So basically beta oxidation means we are going to oxidize a molecule of fatty acyl-CoA to form a molecule of acetyl-CoA. So in each cycle of beta oxidation, each molecule of fatty acyl-CoA is going to successively reduce by 2 carbon atoms, and those 2 carbon atoms come out as a molecule of acetyl-CoA. So each cycle of beta oxidation, successively 2 carbon atoms will be reduced until the entire fatty acyl-CoA chain is reduced to acetyl-CoA molecules. This acetyl-CoA can then enter the citric acid cycle, and NADH2 and the FADH2, which are the reduced form, they donate their electrons to the electron transport chain and help with the formation of ATP. So that is how ultimately a fatty acid molecule helps with the energy production. So let's get started with the first step. The first step is a dehydrogenation reaction wherein palmitoyl-CoA is going to lose 2 hydrogen atoms. The enzyme that catalyzes this reaction is acyl-CoA dehydrogenase. This is an FAD dependent dehydrogenation. So FAD is going to take 2 hydrogen atoms. So this hydrogen atom and this one. So FAD will be reduced to FADH2. Now here a double bond is formed, and if you notice, this hydrogen atom and this hydrogen atom are in the opposite direction, meaning they are in the trans state. So that is why the product formed is called trans-enoyl-CoA. Delta 2, because this is the first carbon atom, delta 1, and this is going to be delta 2, the double bond is present in delta 2. So trans delta 2 enoyl-CoA. This again undergoes hydration reaction catalyzed by enoyl-CoA hydratase. A molecule of H2O is added. So to this CH, an OH group is getting added, and to this CH, an other hydrogen molecule is getting added. Since this has a hydroxy group, we get hydroxy acyl-CoA. It's the same molecule that has been written here. Third step is going to be again a dehydrogenation reaction. Hydroxy acyl-CoA dehydrogenase acts as a catalyst in this process, and NAD is going to take 2 hydrogen atoms. So this hydrogen atom and this hydrogen atom are donated to the electron carrier, forming NADH plus H plus. A double bond is going to be formed here. So C double bond O means a keto group, and since this is the beta carbon, this is a beta keto acyl CoA. All these three steps basically prepare a molecule of acyl CoA for the last step, which is the thiolysis. So all these three steps are to make sure this molecule is symmetrical so that it can be divided into two. Again, if you notice here, this is the alpha carbon, this is the beta carbon, and the thiolysis is going to take place in the beta carbon. This is catalyzed by beta keto acyl CoA thiolase. The last step, a molecule of SH CoA is going to be added. So now what happens is this takes the S CoA and becomes two carbon atoms shorter, because this is one carbon atom and this is the second carbon atom, which are going to form acetyl CoA. So two atoms of carbon are going away. So this chain is going to be two carbons shorter. So it's going to be a CH14, which can be called as a myristoyl CoA, and a molecule of acetyl CoA is released, which can go to the citric acid cycle. Now this myristoyl CoA will again start to undergo all these processes. By the next cycle, this will be again two carbons shorter. So it can be called as lauryl CoA because it will have 12 carbon atoms, and another molecule of acetyl CoA will be released. So by the end of one cycle, we will be getting a molecule of acetyl CoA, one FADH2 and one ADH plus H plus. Supposing we are taking a 16 carbon chain length fatty acid, which is palmitoyl CoA, it has to undergo 7 cycles until the carbon atoms are successively reduced to form acetyl CoA. Not 8 cycles, it is only 7 cycles, because in the first cycle it is going to be 16 carbons to 14 carbons. Second cycle it will be 2 carbon atoms lesser, so it will be 12 carbons. So that way, as it reaches the 6th cycle, as it finishes the 6th cycle, a 6 carbon chain length fatty acyl CoA would become a 4 carbon chain length fatty acyl CoA. So in the 7th cycle, this is the 4 carbon chain length. We are just taking the last product, which is the beta keto acyl CoA. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 carbon atoms here. A molecule of CoAsh is added. So this is cleaved here, and S CoA adds to this molecule. So we are getting 2 molecules of acetyl CoA. So by the time palmitoyl CoA finishes 7 cycles, it has already been converted to 2 molecules of acetyl CoA. There is no more fatty acyl CoA left to undergo another cycle. So by the end of 7 cycles, we will have 8 molecules of acetyl CoA, 7 FADH2 and 7 NADH plus H plus. NADH plus H plus is the reduced form of the electron carrier nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and FADH2 is again the reduced form of flavin adenine dinucleotide. Both of these carry the electrons and they donate the pair of electrons to the electron transport chain. So FADH2 will be donating its pair of electrons to electron transferring flavoprotein ETF, which is part of the electron transport chain, and NADH plus H plus will be donating its electrons to NADH dehydrogenase, again an electron carrier in electron transport chain. Acetyl CoA will be entering the citric acid cycle. Now let's see the energy yield, the total energy yield of beta oxidation. So by the end of 7 cycles, these are formed. One acetyl CoA molecule will give 10 ATP, and one FADH2 gives 1.5 ATP, one NADH will give 2.5 ATP. So if we are converting this and if we are adding this up, we are getting a total of 108 ATP. But during the activation of fatty acid to fatty acyl CoA, a molecule of ATP was used up. So we have to reduce 2 molecules of ATP from this 108. So the net yield is going to be 106 ATP for a C16 carbon length fatty acyl CoA, palmitoyl CoA. The oxidation methods for say unsaturated fatty acids or those with uneven number of carbon atoms might be slightly different. I hope beta oxidation of fatty acids is clear. If you have any doubts, feel free to drop it in the comments. Also, to add a quick and fun interesting fact, in hibernating animals, when they undergo beta oxidation, when the fat molecules undergo beta oxidation, the electrons that are donated to the O2 atom in the electron transport chain, it generates a molecule of water for every electron pair. So when animals are hibernating for 6 months, 7 months without doing any other activities, these fatty acid molecules are broken down and they undergo beta oxidation. This provides heat and water, thus making the hibernating animals survive throughout those 6 to 7 months period.